For centuries, if you wanted to fasten your shoes, you used buckles. Silver buckles were a sign of wealth, of status. Laces, that was for the lower classes. But an English inventor named Harvey Kennedy was tired of this division. On March 27, 1790, he patented his new invention, a simple woven cord reinforced with a tiny metal tip. He called it the shoelace. This humble invention didn't just kill the aristocratic buckle, it became a quiet symbol of equality, and its story is intertwined with two other tiny inventions we see every day, a button and a safety pin. These aren't just fasteners, they are tiny monuments to status, desperation, and rebellion, hiding in plain sight. Let's start with the button. For most of its 4,000-year history, it was completely useless. The first buttons appeared in the Indus Valley, beautifully carved from seashells, but they had a fatal flaw: no buttonholes. They were purely for decoration. Think of them as the world's first bling. For thousands of years, people held their clothes together with pins and brooches called fibulae. They worked, but they were famous for poking the wearer. Then, in the 13th century Germany, a revolution. Someone didn't invent a new button, they invented a new hole, the buttonhole. Suddenly, clothing could be tailored, form-fitting, and tight, and the button, once a useless ornament, was now the key to this new world of high fashion. And the wealthy went absolutely wild. Buttons were made from gold, silver, and precious jewels. King Francis I of France had a velvet gown commissioned with, get this, 13,600 gold buttons on it. Your social status could be measured by the number of little fasteners on your coat. A ghost of that era is still with us. Why are men's buttons on the right and women's on the left? Because wealthy men dressed themselves, so the buttons were on the right for their convenience, but wealthy women were dressed by their maids. The buttons were placed on the left to be easier for a right-handed person standing in front of them to fasten. The Industrial Revolution eventually made buttons cheap and accessible for everyone, turning them from a symbol of status into an object of utility. But the button's ancient cousin, the pin, had a much more dramatic story. One that began with a desperate man and a flash of genius that took only 3 hours. The year is 1849. Walter Hunt, an American inventor, owed a friend a $15 debt, about $500 today. He was desperate. So Hunt sat down at his desk with a single piece of brass wire and just started twisting it. He was trying to create a pin that wouldn't poke its wearer, a pin that could cover its own sharp point. In just 3 hours, he had it. The design was perfect. A coiled spring at one end creates tension. One arm is the sharp pin, the other ends in a small shielded clasp. When closed, the point is safely tucked away. He called it the dress pin. Now, did he become the king of the pin empire? Nope. He patented his world-changing design on April 10, 1849, and immediately sold the rights for $400, just enough to pay his debt and have a little cash left over. The company that bought the patent, they made millions. For decades, the safety pin was just a useful tool, even boring. It held diapers together and fixed wardrobe malfunctions. Then, in the mid-1970s, the punk rock movement in the UK hijacked it. They took the symbol of domesticity and turned it into a weapon of rebellion. They pierced their clothes, their jackets, even their skin with it. The safety pin became a raw, aggressive symbol of anti-fashion and DIY culture, a deliberate middle finger to the establishment. From a desperate inventor's flash of brilliance, to a baby's diaper, to a punk rocker's sneer. Not bad for a single piece of bent wire. And that brings us back to the shoelace. We know it replaced the buckle, but the real star of the show isn't the lace. It's that little plastic or metal tip at the end. It's called an aglet. The aglet is a work of pure, understated genius. Its job is twofold. First, it stops the lace from fraying into a useless fluff. Second, it creates a tiny, rigid needle that makes threading it through your shoe's eyelets effortless. Without the eyelet, a shoelace is just a frustrating piece of string. With it, it's a perfect system. A button, a pin, a lace. The button began as a symbol of status and became a tool for everyone. The safety pin began as a tool for everyone and became a symbol of rebellion. And the shoelace began as a quiet rebellion against status and created equality for all. They are the unseen engineers of our daily lives, the humble hardware that holds our world together. So here's a thought. The next time you get dressed, take 5 extra seconds. Look at the buttons, the pins, the laces. Think about the thousands of years of history and the flashes of brilliance that put them there. What other unseen objects are hiding in your daily routine? Let us know in the comments below what we should uncover next.